you making paper, you gotta learn some rules to go with it. You gotta learn the difference between guns and butter. There are two types of niggas in this world. There are niggas with guns and niggas with butter. Now, what are the guns? The guns, that's the real estate. The stocks and bonds. Artwork. You know, shit that appreciates with value. What's the butter? Cars, clothes, jewelry, all that other bullshit that don't mean shit after you buy it. That's what it's all about. Guns and butter, baby.
All right, fellas, let's begin. We're gonna start off with the news of the week. We're gonna start off with some economy news. So, Representative Chuck Schumer and Elizabeth Warren are proposing forgiving $50,000 in student loan debt for borrowers due to the pandemic. The resolution calls on President Donald Trump to take executive action to forgive $50,000 in debt for borrowers. Most of you might not know, the student loan debt is at $1.5 trillion right now.
Right.
So, go ahead. What you was
That's
gonna
old.
See, I'm all for that.
Old. Yeah.
I'm all for that. But then y'all got to cut a $50,000 check for anybody who already paid off their loans.
Yo, facts. I paid off my loans and my wife's loans in the past 2 years, bro. I feel some type of way about this. I understand. I'm sympathetic to it, and I do wish that there should be some aid to assist those folks. But man, I didn't bust my butt to pay off my student loan debt, bro.
Nobody told you to be an overachiever. You should have not paid it and did like all the rest of the Americans.
Default. You just defaulted.
Try to
and
pay
have
down
that on your
debt.
credit for the rest of your life.
Overachieving and pay down your debt. And now you get the perk.
That's a typical story of somebody hitting a lottery.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie. When the day that I made my last payment, I'll never forget. I made my last payment on my student loan. I remember calling up. It was Citibank at the time, and the lady picked up. She's like, "Hello, this is Susan for Citibank. How can I help you?" I'm like, "Susan, Susan, what's up, girl? Today's my last motherfucking payment." She said, "Oh, congratulations." I'm like, I can't even explain the freedom that you feel for making that last fucking payment. Then to say somebody else who probably been, and his thing, most of these students probably don't even have a job right now.
Nah, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, what COVID effect are they really feeling? Yeah, I don't buy that shit.
Well, the student loan, like I just stated, the overall student loan debt is at $1.5 trillion. So, this has been like a campaign talk for many folks, whether it's from the local level or the presidential level. I remember just listening to the Democratic race last year. All of the majority of the candidates running had something alluding to trying to assist student loan forgiveness to some capacity. So
yeah, I'll say a final word on that, man. I just feel like you got to pick and choose with that one, because you got some dudes who BS was probably in school for however long, spend extra time. Then you get dudes who, okay, I only need 20 G's worth of tuition, but they're going to send me a check for 25, so I'm going to take that extra 5 and spend it on whatever. Like, that shit ain't fair.
Yeah, I'm with you. So far, actually, one of the people who's part of this resolution, our very own state senator, Bob Menendez. So he is one of a handful of Democratic senators who's on board of relieving $50,000 worth of student loan debt.
How close are they to pushing that through?
I doubt it, because they're looking for President Trump to pass an executive order. Like this year so far, he passed an executive order to do a rent freeze for the rest of the year, as well as an executive order to freeze student loan payment for the rest of the year. But to actually forgive, I doubt it, bruh. $1.5 trillion. So just give up $1.5 trillion.
No, it ain't 1.5. It's $50K.
I'm just saying overall.
Let me ask.
Do
you think this is more for something to actually help the people, or do you think it's more something to like, oh, we got to bail out the banks, but we got to make it seem like, you know what I mean? Kind of like the Civil War was really about the South breaking away from the North, but they said, oh no, it's about slavery.
You know what? If it helps the people, I don't think it matters.
Yeah. What you was about to say, Smith?
No, I think it's the latter. I think it's about bailing out the banks. They ain't thinking about the people.
Yeah.
But the people look at help.
He don't your president said he don't want people to panic. That's why he didn't talk about the virus and the extent of its seriousness. So yeah, it's about the banks. It's not about the people. Government don't care about the people.
I mean, think about it. Like, they went on recession and did not come with a stimulus package. They went on recession in August, right? Mm-hmm. And then they come back in September, said, nope, we still not doing it. And now we're going back, in recession in October. Mm-hmm. Like, do you really think they're really looking out for people?
No.
All right, next up on the agenda. New York City restaurants will soon be able to add a 10% COVID surcharge. So if you New York City, they're opening up their indoor restaurants similar to New Jersey at the end of this month in September with a 25% capacity limit. So to make up for a lot of the losses, they're looking to add a 10% surcharge.
Why don't they just raise their prices, man? Well, I guess maybe a COVID surcharge sounds a little better because people are more understanding. I mean, look, I'm not mad at it. It's just going to make me stay in the house.
It's New York City,
How's that different from now, Kel?
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
My bad, my friend got
Go ahead, Smith.
Smith, get it together, bro.
No, I'm together. You was right. It was cool. I was on the front porch. It's cold out there, so I'm on the front porch now. And that's why a lot of sun coming through. But I think that 10% surcharge is going to have an effect on the common worker. Now that I'm paying more, I'm not going to tip as much. So I think that the people, the waitresses and the waiters are going to be affected by this. The baristas and the barkeeps, they'll be affected. And I think that's fucked up.
Well, New York City is a very democratic area. The New York City Council passed it unanimously, 46-2. So there was really hardly any pushback on this. They all agreed. Actually, following this story, for the past 2 weeks regarding New York City restaurants, it was a very contentious battle between, Mayor de Blasio and a lot of the restaurant owners saying, like, look, we understand the ramification of opening up, but you got to help us out. So I guess this is a way of, giving them a bone.
Is this applied to dine-in only?
Nah, this is, now that I'm reading in further details, it's actually saying customers dining indoors and outdoors.
No, I mean, like, okay, I order Uber Eats, so I still got to pay the surcharge to the restaurant. I go pick up.
That's a good question. It doesn't go into that detail. Whether or not if you're doing delivery service, will a 10% surcharge. I doubt it, though, if it's strictly talking about customers dining indoors and outdoors. Delivery, it would have probably stated that.
Nah, I think it's going to be on delivery.
It's eventually.
Is that a
what's the purpose of me? I'm going to pay more from eating inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like if you go to the venue itself, I think that's when the 10% surcharge kicks in.
Smith, people are going to do it, though, because just for the whole socialization aspect, man, I want to be out. I want to do something.
Oh, yeah, I know people are going to do it, but like I said, I still think it's going to affect the little man. I still don't think waitresses and waiters are going to get paid like that. Well, I think about today, the outside dining is about to be a wrap.
That's why they're doing it.
What, Tuesday, Wednesday? So this outdoor dining is about to be over with, and
well, from that standpoint, get the short end of the stick. From that standpoint, it makes sense. Y'all got to figure out a way to make up that loss of that outdoor dining.
Yeah. All right. Next up, New York Stock Exchange is ready to leave New Jersey if the state imposes a tax on stock trades. Most of the New Jersey U.S. stock exchanges operate their electronic trading system in New Jersey. So, Governor Murphy, a couple of weeks back, he basically did a revised budget. In that budget, there were several taxes, like a tax on gun permits, an increase on gun permit tax, an increase on cigarettes, an increase on limousine, an increase on boating, and a whole litany of the increases on taxes. So one of that included tax on trades. So a lot of the major trading systems are looking to leave New Jersey if this is actually enacted.
That's good. I keep my money under the mattress anyway.
And according to the Bloomberg News regarding this issue, if they actually go forward with this particular tax, they could expect to collect $10 billion a year from at least 10,000 transactions. So there goes that.
I got a question about that.
So you're telling me that's going to raise the transaction fees every time I make a trade?
They will pass that on to you.
Okay, that was gonna be my question.
Son of a...
Yeah, they will pass that. Trust me. It's like any other tax. Like, you think the producers is willing to oh yeah, I'm just willing to manufacture these goods at a higher cost. Hell no, they're gonna pass that burden on to the consumers.
Yeah, that's some bullshit,
Yeah. So,
what's their reasoning for wanting to leave?
Because they don't want to get hit with these taxes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything else. I don't know if you guys remember, this was like during the Corzine years when they were doing their rebudgeting and they was trying to impose a millionaire's tax, which Governor Murphy just recently, I think he just passed the millionaire's tax. And a billionaire straight up said, yo, I'm out of here. I'm going. He went to Florida. Yo, New Jersey had to re-budget their entire income sheet because that one billionaire bounced.
Yeah, but the whole thing is, it's like, why? I just don't understand the concept. It's like, oh, you worked hard. You created value to the economy. You created jobs for other people. And we're going to punish you for that by raising your taxes. Not like you get any more road or any more school or any more benefits than any other citizen. It's not like the cops come and escort you from your job. You know what I mean? Like, you get the same exact treatment as every other citizen, but you got to pay more. How does that make any sense?
Well, one of the things that Murphy also, I believe, if I read this correctly, there's a baby bond bill that's being passed too, or that was part of this new rebudgeting. So people are going to, like, if you're an adolescent, you're going to receive a baby bond. I didn't spend a great deal of time of understanding baby bonds. It's been around for quite a bit of time. So, there's a lot of social programs that New Jersey like to offer, hence why we get taxed out of the ass.
Yeah, but I don't see, my whole thing is, it seems like some Bernie Sanders type shit where you just basically say, oh, this guy's making more money. Let's take it away from him because he's making it. Not that he stole it. Not that he did anything underhanded. Not that he, he earned it. He created value in a system and people saw that value and he became rich, wealthy, whatever you want to call it. And now you're trying to punish him for being successful. That doesn't make any damn sense. It's like, no matter what you get, you pay a higher tax than anybody else. Even if you said everybody pays 10% off the top of their money, this, that, and the other, everybody still, the billionaire's still going to pay more out of his 10% still going to be higher than, someone making $35,000 a year, no matter what. So it's just like, I don't understand why you're going to say, oh no, we're going to make it 75% on the billionaire just because he has it. I don't see the logic in that.
Well, I agree with some of those points. We could definitely have a conversation if we ever come across a book that talks about economics and government.
We will do that.
We will have to have one of those conversations, and I think we have a very diverse panel in regards of thought process regarding a lot of that. But it is what it is. Next up, George. This is from Bloomberg. George Washington University sees a 17% enrollment drop since the pandemic setback. So a lot of universities are seeing a significant drop in enrollment. And actually, there was an article that was tagged on this that says that Hispanics and Black students are more likely than white students to see this significant drop in enrollment. So
that's probably because they know they can't get that student experience right now. I mean, honestly, from a financial standpoint, it would make sense for enrollment to be up because, you're forced to take classes at home. No, you don't get the college experience, but, you're saving that money in the long run, so you don't got to be a part of that 1.5 trillion.
Well, it also comes down to
some of them not saving money, though. Yeah, some of them not saving money, though, Henry. Some of the schools, they actually – this tuition has stayed the same. Some, like my cousin, she's going to where they're trying to force freshmen to come on campus so they can give them that room and board fee and not give them the option of being at home online. I don't think you should be paying the same amount of money for an online experience that you should be paying for in-school experience. It's just not the same.
I agree. I completely agree.
Online learning is basically like looking at a YouTube video and just teaching yourself in a sense. So it's not the same.
I thought that they were just charging them for the tuition, not the room and board.
Not all schools. All schools can do whatever they want. Schools can do what they want. So every school is not created equally, you know. And as far as the Latino and the Black population, you got to think of it like this. A lot of our students already struggle to go to these colleges, and they don't have the finances necessarily.
Bingo.
So to put myself in a strapping situation, in a more stressful situation, and I already don't have it, where I could possibly do the Essex County College for free. Or I could possibly do the online being from home. You know, it's just going to change my trajectory, but I'm still going to get to where, you know, I'm just taking a different route to get where I'm trying to go. That's all.
And Smith stole my thunder in regards of the financial aid. A lot of it too, because I'm dealing with this personally with a cousin. A lot of it also is due to the fact that now with this whole COVID, you know, universities are strapped. Financial aid is going to look a whole lot different now. And unfortunately, you're just going to have affluent white folks who have it like that. They're able to do the whole room and board thing. And there's a lot of things you can't learn online. Like if you are in like a medical profession, you can't do lab online. I'm sorry. That is something that you just can't do. So like it kind of what you're going to see, and this is, you know, I don't want to necessarily take up too much time regarding the storyline. You're just going to see a much bigger divide. Of the have and have-nots, and unfortunately, a lot of times the blacks and Latinos always find themselves on the have-not side. You know.
Yeah, and just to add on to that last piece that you said about the affluent white folks, they will be all right because remember, they're also paying to get their kids into college.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, illegally. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, they'll
correct.
be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. And
they'll be fine.
And even during this whole shutdown, you know, their kids been fine. They've been able to get tutoring during this whole time while inner city kids, you know, struggling to gain access to laptops, twiddling their thumbs. Meanwhile, you know, I'm talking to neighbors and stuff, you know, they got their kids doing all sorts of, you know, tutoring to keep them preoccupied. So when school came back around this September, there isn't this, you know, this learning block. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. In health, science, and technology news, and this one is a Black Zeus recommendation, and I found this one interesting.
Easy.
So, Elon Musk's company Neuralink aims to develop a device that will enable the human brain to keep pace with artificial intelligence, also known as AI. The brain computer interface neuroprosthetic company hopes to develop medical applications and overall aim to build a futuristic general population device in which people's brains can connect directly to computers.
Chill.
I don't like it.
Doing that.
I don't like it.
I'm not doing that. Yo, the only way
it's a private company. I was looking to say, oh, can I, you know, throw some money at this? Actually, it's still private, so it's not a publicly traded company. But it was fascinating. Shu could definitely share that YouTube link, or I could share it with you. It's fascinating. But,
yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah,
for real. And the
funny thing is, Cash, you think exactly the way I do because I was damn sure looking to see whether or not it was a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
But I thought the entire story was really interesting because essentially what they're trying to do is put a computer chip in a person's brain, which would basically be almost like a diagnostic system to say, okay, this is wrong, fix this, you know, do this, do that, and make a human being more efficient, if you will, better processing machine, if you will. So, I thought that was really interesting.
That man becomes machine. That man in Terminator, that the real life Terminator becomes to America. That we went to interlock with machines.
I thought the thing that I thought was really interesting about that, what they're saying is that their long-term goals is to not just for you to be able to control your iPhone or you change the channel on your TV, but let's say you are, if you are paraplegic, you know, you may not be able to feel your legs, but you'll be able to mentally make your legs move because you'll be able to send that signal to your legs to move, even though you won't feel them. You know, if
And
you're
that's
someone,
that's
That's
the
what
only
I'm
thing I
saying.
think it should be
if
for.
someone who has a vision
Wounded
issue,
vets, paraplegic, born disabled, not just for a motherfucker that want to make their life easier.
Yo, first thing that popped in my mind, I'm only with it. I didn't think about that point, Schubert Smith, but I was thinking that and super soldier. Like, yo, that's the only. Like, I don't think everyday people should be walking around like, man, I don't feel like going to get this food. So what they got? Superpowers just gonna bring it over, or it's just or the other one I thought about, and I don't think it's connected. If it's gonna, where you were saying, Shu, you know, you fix what's wrong with you. If it'll help with like diseases, you know, prevent it or something. But nah, that sounds like crime.
Yeah, come on. Stop trying to make man and machine be a union. Stop trying to marry them and make a cure for fucking cancer already. God damn it.
You know what's so funny? I think the country of Sweden, there's like 10,000 citizens walking around with microchips in their hands.
Yeah, as soon as the vaccine come out in America, there'll be millions more.
Hey, bruh, I'm with you on that, and we need to have a conspiracy dialogue one of these days. But you know,
that'd be interesting.
Oh man! All right, next up, you guys probably remember last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I had mentioned that Microsoft released their Xbox 2 consoles. So Sony this week announced that they'll be launching their PS5 in the U.S. in November, priced at $599. There's going to also be a second console that's going to be a diskless, that's going to be available for $399. So games will be.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
Despite everything that's going on, people are still going to buy that shit.
Yeah.
People are still gonna buy that shit. Like, you know, as soon as them stimulus checks come out, you know what I mean? Amazon is going to be overloaded with the pre-orders and everything.
Hey, folks that's listening, buy some property. Don't buy no goddamn Xboxes. Anyway, I wanted to know, do those Xboxes got 5G? Do these new Xboxes and PS5
think so.
Are they 5G compatible?
I would think so.
Now?
No, I would think so. You're right. That's a good question. I would think so. It'd be dumb as hell if the Xboxes and PS5 are not 5G compatible.
I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised, and I don't know if they can do it or not. At this point, the Xbox or the PlayStation doesn't have like full-blown internet on it. Like, how is it just not a regular computer?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been up the dude. I still rock out with the Xbox.
Oh, and where's Apple? Like, when they gonna drop a game system?
I don't even know. I don't know. Are they really into
gaming?
gaming?
Ain't here to suggest that.
Yeah, they're not gonna drop games. They're trying to drop that iPhone 12.
Yeah, I think they got several devices that's going to be dropped this year, like some Apple Watches and
they're taking a lot of the cords and things away because they wanted to drop the price because they couldn't make the phone with the 5G because it was too pricey. So now the phone is supposed to be better, but they're taking away a lot of the things. So you know how Apple always nickel and dime. You got to buy the cord, you got to buy the headphones, you got to buy this, you got to buy that.
That's why I don't have any Apple devices. It's a cult. You know, but you know, I got enough shares to be like, yo, they need to do something because them shares dropped from like 135 a share down to like
shares dropping, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Apple
like,
shares
I
took
need
it.
to do something.
Yeah, all the tech stocks took. You know, I know last 2 weeks ago I talked about how the market ended the month of August on a high. September's not looking all too great for the tech stocks.
No.
Yeah. Next up, I don't know for you guys who are TikTok users, but Trump approved in concept a deal in which Oracle and Walmart would take a 20% minority ownership in the company, the U.S. Chinese company. But what makes this also interesting, though, the Commerce Department extended a deadline to ban TikTok from downloads until September 27th. So there's been this whole data protection, homeland security protection, where the Trump administration or this administration is trying to basically prevent China to have full access to U.S. data, and TikTok has been identified as one of those security threats. Countries like India have definitely banned TikTok, as well as an additional 118 apps, Chinese apps. So, there's a lot of countries that are concerned about China presence, world dominance. China has basically taken over the world essentially. And this is one of many things that the Trump administration have basically been vocal about. So for all you TikTok users, in a couple of weeks, if you don't have TikTok, download it now, I guess. I don't know what that's going to mean once the deadline hits in regards to what's going to impact your usability of it, but pay attention to that sort of stuff. And the last two bit of what's up?
I just want to say, yeah. So we had this guy in office for about 4 years, and everything that I get still says made in China.
Yeah. Well, there's a great documentary on Amazon Prime in regards to like the rise of China, and on both sides, the Democrat and Republican, they have identified China's rise as a threat. And essentially, like, I wish this wasn't such a partisan issue, because it seems both parties understand the threat of China, but for whatever reason, when they get on TV, they just want to slander each other and not necessarily address the issue at hand of like how China is essentially making a lot of the U.S. products that are consumed. If anything, this pandemic should be an eye opener to realize, like, yo, let's not have everything manufactured in China just in case we can't fucking transport shit.
It's
exactly
tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
But economically that's tough, because the fact that China has products that are being produced at like 1/3 the cost of what it would cost to produce here, and that says something, that it costs 1/3 less to have it shipped from overseas than to have it made in your backyard.
Because that's mostly due to the fact that China doesn't have the labor laws we have, though. That's essentially what it is.
But it's just tough.
Like, it's not that China has, granted, they have different resources that we have, but it really comes down to the fact that we're exploiting their labor market. That's all it is.
It helps us in the long run.
Yeah, but at the same time,
it doesn't help us in the long run.
I mean,
our labor market allows for someone who is working at Burger King, doing a mediocrity job, taking your order, to make $15 an hour. So it's just like, I don't know. It's a catch-22. It's like, on one side, we have great labor laws to help people, this, that, and the other. But at the same token, the people don't really contribute value to the economy or to business, so forth and so on. It's like, I was having this discussion with someone else who was saying like, oh, people should get paid a living wage, so that they're able to afford certain, which I consider luxuries, like, oh, they should be able to have a 2-bedroom apartment, they should be able to have this, they should be able to have take care of their kids and this, that. And I'm just like, listen, if you can't afford to have kids, don't freaking have them. That's just irresponsible, But it's not society's responsibility to provide you with the income to have all the kids you choose to have. You have to provide society with value, so that way you produce enough income to have all the kids you want to have, But we seem to have it backwards in our country, where we just don't want to provide value, but we want to get paid.
I get that. And when we talk about the relationship with China, and China is kind of doing this in Africa right now, they're colonizing in a different form of colonization in Africa. When we talk about economics and the labor market, I think that's a more complex conversation. And I can't castigate U.S. workers for wanting a living wage and affordable health care, and at the same time expect cheap, products and stuff like that. Like, it's just a more complicated conversation. What's happening in China, there's a lot of inhumane practices out there. And we're not necessarily, knowledgeable or abreast to it. So, like, it's not simply China has a better labor market. It's what they're doing in their labor market that's making them competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to add 2 things. One, I always was a little leery of China because because of the way they army march. I don't know if you ever watched them march.
Oh, it's intense, bro.
Marching with that kick like that, you know, all y'all exercise. So for you to be able to march miles and miles with that same kick, you're pretty good with that.
Hey,
That's
listen,
one.
you need
a
a whole country full of Jackie Chan.
Stuff in China. There's billions of people in China. They're gonna be able to mass market sweatshop stuff.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah, man. And like, you know, to that point, it's just like, you know, we could have a conversation about, you know, ideologies regarding communism, because, you know, China is a hybrid of, you know, communism as well as capitalism. But yeah, it's a complex, you know, situation. We could definitely find a book surrounding these ideologies, and then definitely, you know, have great dialogue regarding that. All right, last two bit of news that ties into the book itself. Per the New York Times, New York will move hundreds of homeless men from liberal neighborhood after backlash. So, you know, during this whole pandemic, you know, it's always been what's happening with the homeless. So in New York, our, you know, neighboring state, they house, you know, hundreds of homeless people in hotels. So these upper liberal, supposed, you know, our allies, you know, liberal friends basically had enough of these 300 homeless men in a hotel, and they're looking to have them move. And essentially there's been backlash surrounding the relocation of these men because we're still in a pandemic and there's really nowhere for them to go. But, you know, it's that whole NIMBY thing. If you don't know what NIMBY is, it's not in my backyard. And a lot of times when I see a lot of white liberals talk all this, you know, kumbaya stuff, but when it comes down to really helping institute a change, they be like, nah, we can't do this here because it's going to affect my quality of life.
I think that was at the Lucerne was one of the hotels.
Okay, Smith. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, and they said that the quality of life dropped when the men came into the neighborhood. They didn't say anything about women and children. They
exactly
men, which we're reading about. So I know it's a nice segue into that.
Yeah.
And now they want these men out of this neighborhood, and they don't know where to put them in. Yeah, that was at the Lucerne, and that was a little crazy. It's like they keep moving them around. You see all these men with all of their belongings and, you know, basically garbage bags.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and the sense of the man at this point is like, damn, I'm trying to be better, and nobody wants me, and nobody's trying to assist me. Now, if this was more women and children, I'm sure that would not have been the same situation.
Yeah,
I completely agree, man.
I think that's.
Go ahead.
I think that's a little hypocritical that y'all ain't gonna help them out, but then like y'all freezing all the rent and mortgages everybody who has houses.
Yeah, and you even think about the CARES Act. You know, one of the things that stood out in regards to the CARES Act, like if you were on child support, you were in the rears, you were excluded from receiving any stimulus aid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, once again, and most people say, well, you know, child support is not a men issue, it's a unisex issue. Let's be honest. Most men are put on child support. So, you know,
it's a man issue.
Yeah, it's a man issue. So it's just like, you know, when you talk about homelessness and you talk about child support, this story right here that I read from the New York Times regarding these 300 homeless men from this hotel that, you know, Smith noted, you know, once it just goes to show you the disposability of men, like with no regards in regards to where they're going to be, especially during a time like this. And you was about to say something, Shu?
Yeah, honestly, I just want to expand on what you said. You know, like, honestly, I don't think it's just, you know, white liberals or black liberals or, you know, I just think it's just people overall. Like, everyone wants to put up their flag of, you know, we shall overcome and, you know, march and this, that, and the other until the problem is actually on their front doorstep. Then they don't want to be bothered. But they're always the quick one to say, oh, something should be done. You know, like I had an argument with someone the other day who, you know, here she is living in a, you know, a huge house with multiple space, this, that, and the other. And she's on, you know, she has more than enough space to help somebody out, X, Y, and Z. But yet she's sitting here talking about how the system is unfair to someone else and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, it's easy to say, oh, how things are not fair or this, that, and the other, and bitch and moan, but not do a goddamn thing. And I'm pretty sure if, the people that she was talking about supporting were on her front doorstep, she'd be like, I ain't got no space for you, So it just goes to show that, 9 out of 10 people all talk, they're all talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last news, as you guys know, Supreme Court Justice Judge George Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away at 87. She's a pioneer of a lot of women activist movements, which, when you talk about Supreme Court justices and this book, they talked, in this book, talked about the Anita Hill case and, another situation. I'm thinking about the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, which we're going to get into shortly. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. So I think that's a great, a good segue into the book regarding her being a feminist judge, or identified as a feminist judge.
May she rest in peace.
Yes. All right, fellas. So only really like 3 questions, but I think with these 3 questions, there's did I send it? Yeah. With these 3 questions, we could really like get into some good conversation. I would like to say this. Chapter 14, was it 14 or 15? He started off with a quote that disturbed the shit out of me. And it came from, sorry, I got to get it together. Let me see. And this kind of segues into Kelvin's question. Sorry about that. Well, Kelvin's questions was this. In order to debunk the myth of male power, which sex needs to be more open and willing to change their ways? Your answers cannot be both sexes. You go ahead and start the conversation on that, and while I look for the quote in question that disturbed the hell out of me.
All right. Anybody want to start?
You brought it up. Let's hear what you got to say.
I don't know, man. I was kind of at odds with this one, but I'm going to have to go females. And I'm saying because if they weren't, especially reading like a lot of I don't say a lot, just this book in general, but even like that whole idea of like, lying about the rape. Like, you guys are going to sit here and jack my whole world up because you either wanted some attention from my husband, from the husband, you wanted somebody to be jealous, you was trying to get yourself out of a sticky situation. So like, we could say that the men need to be the ones to band together and, fight for the cause. But if you don't got people causing the problem in the first place, I mean, you really don't even have to fight this fight. So I'm going females on that one. They need to switch their ideology up altogether.
I have to concur with that. Essentially, I feel that, I am all about, having an egalitarian society. I want equal rights. I want equal this, equal that, for men, women, young, black, old, white, this, that, and whatever the case may be, right? But equal doesn't mean equal in just the good. It means equal in the bad. It means equal in everything. So don't come at me and say you want to be a corporate CEO, but you don't want to be a garbage man. Don't tell me you want, social services to cover you and your child, but if, the other way around, you don't want to pay child support. Don't tell me you want, to be a soldier, but you don't want to be on the front line. Like, if you truly want equality, that means you're equal in everything, good and bad, no difference. That you can't just say, oh, this is a buffet of you get to pick and choose what you want and dismiss everything you don't want. I think if women made a move towards that, the feminist movement would be seen truly as as a movement towards equality. And I think the fact of men, most of these issues that we have as men would just dissipate, in the natural order of things, becoming truly equal in the good and the bad. So I think that's really in a woman's court or in female's court to make that happen, because I hear a lot of women say, oh, well, men make the laws and men this, that, and the other. And, not for nothing, 9 out of 10 of us, have to, I don't want to say deal with a woman, or pander to a woman in one way or another. But that's basically what it ends up being, is the fact of this society has no empathy for a man, whether it's a male or female. There's no empathy for a man. So unless a woman says, hey, I see your plight, I see your pain, and I'll carry that weight with you, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's I'm going to definitely say that the women need to change. Yeah, the women need to change, man. They basically are controlling this, There was one thing that kind of struck me, and this was the talk about the cosmopolitan and how a cosmopolitan placates women to actually use their sexuality to in the workplace.
Uh-huh.
And then they're manipulating these men in the workplace, everything from hiking up a skirt or doing a touch on your shoulder to remove fake lint, just so I can touch you and make you think that I'm interested. So now, as the male, my horns go up. I'm like, okay, she's interested. And now 2 weeks later, you sue me. All right. Women have to change. Women, you have to change. You have to change. At the same time, the sexual harassment comes from, they have the sexual harassment legislation that protects the women, but it doesn't protect the man. It makes the men unequal to women against what, the 14th Amendment said that we all should be equal. So women definitely need to change, because there's a lot that they do. And I looked at Dr. Farrell talk about being in that, what was that, being in the female beauty contest. I put myself in the female beauty contest.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in a woman's shoes for a few minutes to see what that was like, not literally, figuratively. And I was in that place, and I'm saying, well, yes, a woman does have to listen to her friends and her mothers and her relatives. And I've heard females say, you ain't gonna never get a man. You ugly as hell. You the ugly duckling. And I've heard mothers tell their daughters this. So it is something that they're always on cue, but guess what? They're talking about making sure that they look a certain way of their body. They're never talking about improving their mind so they can get their own. They're still talking about making themselves look a certain way to manipulate a guy to get ahead. And I don't agree with that shit.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have a unanimous
trap.
You're gonna have a unanimous panel on this one, because I agree, it has to be the women. The victim mentality has to go away at some point. There needs to be hard, looks into regards to these studies regarding pay wage discrepancies, rape statistics, and really say that what, we have it just as bad as men. That we are not, men are not faring any much better than us in many regards. And, one of the things when I was looking up, when I was doing one of the news of the week sessions, there was an article that came up on those ad articles that's always on the bottom on the side. So I clicked on it, and funny enough, it says 16 ways, and this is on the height of Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing away. It says 16 ways women still aren't equal to men. And this was written by Charlotte Anderson.
When was this written?
This was written literally last night. This is from Reader's Digest. 16 ways women still aren't equal to men. So, as I stated before, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she was seen as a feminist judge in many women's eyes due to a lot of the rulings and cases that she presented. So I read through these 16 things, and once again, some of it was just fluff. men's deodorant is cheaper than women's.
Oh my God.
You know, things of that nature. Is once again, as I was reading through this list, a lot of it could easily be debunked, as Dr. Farrell pointed out in The Myth of Male Power, when you talk about wage discrepancy. Like, and there was other things that just made absolutely no sense, and it really doesn't make much of a big deal when you think about the grand scheme of society. Like, one of the other things, ladies are always on dish duty. You know, so
yeah, it sounds like they're stretching.
They're stretching, and it's that narrative that needs to change, like that victim narrative. Like Schubert pointed out one day when he came into the gym, he was talking about his headache. He was still at the gym. He was still willing to train. But once again, it was just like trying to belittle his own individual pain by talking about how about you delivering a child. It's just like that, you know, it's like the oppression Olympics. I think women need to do away with the oppression Olympics. And
just to put into perspective of what Pratt is saying, the last time we were at the gym, we were working out, I was telling them about how I came to the gym to train some clients, this, that, and the other. And someone came up to me and said, "Hey, Shub, you okay? You don't look so good." And I was like, "Well, I got a really bad headache." And not even 5 seconds after I said that, you know, a woman standing next to me is like, "Oh, men always complaining about their pain, this, that, and the other. Try having a baby." It's just like, hold up, I'm still at work. I didn't go, "Oh, what was me?" Someone asked me what was going on with me. I informed them what my situation was, yet I was still at work. But yet this woman still felt the need to demean me and belittle, you know, my pain and struggle, because it's not comparable to a woman's pain. You know, it's like, and that is the shit that needs to stop.
You know what? I just think, just looking at a lot of these examples from the book, maybe I'm wrong. And I think, you know, I was kind of torn whether it's men or women who should be the one to change. I just think the biggest thing is, like, I don't know how many, like, actions a man can do or have done that just, like, drastically alter a woman's, like, life. Just like, okay, I'm just gonna lie and say he's raped, and now I was raped, and now so they can just go to jail. And even after he spends the jail time after being wrongly accused, you know, people still look at him a different way. And I mean, it was like a 9-year-old or a 13-year-old he was accused of rape, and, you know, he ended up getting, like, spat on, and they ended up having, like, move out of the neighborhood because the people's looking down on them. Like, if you think about just the heinous lies that they do to just, like, flip your world upside down. And I'm not.
Yeah, it's like the discrepancy in laws.
I was about to say, though, it's a little more than just the lies. It's exactly what you just said, Cash. It's the discrepancies in laws. Yeah. Like that whole the domestic decibel rule in Australia.
Go into it, brother.
Yeah, the domestic decibel rule in Australia, which was actually passed in 1975, surprisingly. I didn't realize the Family Act law in Australia went back so far. But they passed this law that if a man raises his voice to a woman in public, he is basically, not ridiculing her. It's basically can be charged with it.
Yeah,
like a domestic violence.
It's like domestic violence. That's exactly what it is. Pardon me. It's domestic violence. So if he raises his voice to her in public, it's actually a domestic violence assault that he has done. If she raises her voice to him in public, it's understandable that she's just trying to deal with his male defiance. Like he was being defined as a male in his male dominant role. So she has to raise her voice because she has to meet him to where he is. But if he raises his voice in public, he's doing a domestic violence. And they actually have people in jail for that in Australia, which is weird as hell.
Man,
let's bring it home. I'm sorry, let's bring it home to the state, right? In Florida, it's still on the books. Let's say your girl, you dating your girl, this, that, and the other. You come home, you find her choking on some dude's, you know, sausage, you know, and you kick her out, this, that, and the other. You tell everybody, "Oh, she's a hoe, she cheated, this, that, and the other." You know, she could sue you for slander because you would reduce the chances of her getting married.
Well, to both of you guys' points, Dr. Farrell pointed out the the rape shield law, which was absurd. So like, you know, if a rape case is presented, you can't go into the sexual history of that woman, but you could do so in a man's situation.
Yes.
That's insane to me. I didn't even know that was a thing.
That is insane.
So
But
she's a notorious gangbanger, know what I mean? And now she want to claim rape in a situation. Well, we're going to disregard all the prior gangbangs she's been in?
Yeah, we're going to disregard all that. Because this time she wasn't.
When you say gangbang, you mean Bloods and Crips?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
You know, when he was talking about the 6 blinders, that basically the 6 blinders that a female could basically get away with.
Yeah.
I could poison you. I could do the contract killing. I could do the children factor, the innocent women factor, and the plea bargain. All that combined together. And I'm saying that's crazy as hell, because if a man is doing any of these things, you're going to jail. You're going to jail immediately for a very long time. So the contract killing 16-year-old boy, I'm going to jail because she hired me to kill her husband for $200.
Yeah.
So for $200, my whole life is messed up, and nobody ever looked at me. But the judge said, well, you know what? She was being abused. So let us just spend her time, serve her 1 day in jail, and give her 5 years of probation. But this young boy that was 16 years old, that was manipulated by this older woman, that was on the street, homeless, nobody helping him. He wanted $200, and he didn't even, I don't even think he killed her. I think he just shot him. Yeah. But it's like, the stories in his book are just like eye-opening, like, yo, this shit does happen all the time.
Yeah, the stories
Nothing
in
is
book,
dead. You know, males are just set up for failure. You know what I mean?
Stories in this book are unbelievable.
Yo, actually, you know what? And the reason why I've selected this book, the stories in the cases in these books are believable. Because I remember one of the reason why men issues started to come to the forefront of my mind when I watched the ESPN 30 for 30 Fantastic Lives. And I remember when that situation first popped off when Kelvin and I were seniors in college. And it was this whole situation, for those who don't know, the situation where you had Duke lacrosse boys hired some strippers. The stripper turned around and said that she was raped by these Duke lacrosse students. And then it became a whole thing about race, when in all actuality, it was about a DA who was up for re-election, who wanted to keep his seat, withheld information. And then you got a shady chick who had, what was so crazy about it is like the Kobe Bryant situation. When they took DNA samples off of her, none of the gentlemen who was accused of raping this woman was found on her. It was like several different other men from a different situation. How dirty of a chick you are, but you got several different other semen from none of the men who you're accusing of raping you.
You just said gangbang.
You are not the father.
Yeah. Like, yo, so it like for me, and then I started to like go into a rabbit hole of these situations. And bro, when I say that it's more when you really have this on the forefront of your mind, these cases are a lot more apparent than what you think. And like the myth of male power, I think he stopped. But when was it? It's my book. I should have did this research. When was this published? Back in the mid-90s? Because some of these
cases, 92, 93.
Yeah, back in 92, 93. Dude, how many more cases? We just had the Brian Banks situation.
See, when I'm saying like unbelievable, I've heard of false rape or domestic violence. I've never heard of like, I'm literally getting away with murder. Like, that's the unbelievable part to me. Like,
it talked, Henry, about the romance and how these romance books started basically becoming 48% of the book market, and females reading these romance books so they can basically figure out how to get away with murder.
Yeah, you know? But like you're
at work reading a book called Love at Work. I'm using my job, or I'm using the job, reading a book, using the job of how to find a man. Why am I at work reading a book of how to find a man at work? What am I doing?
No, that's
so,
off.
So it comes with this. I'm here, and I don't want to go with the female, but the female has the option to work necessarily. The male has the obligation to work. So the male is obligated, so he's going to do certain things. This female has an option, you know, and with this option, she's in there. I'm trying to find a man. Most men that meet their wives tend to actually meet them in the workplace, unfortunately. And then those wives actually get divorced very soon, because what happens is it's the man that's in a higher position of power that's generally getting somebody that's on a lower level of power. And once she realizes, I got this motherfucker, boom, she snatches right then and there, pull the rug from up under his ass, and it's all good, you know. That's the seven hidden levels of job on the job sex, as he talked about.
Like, I get the whole, I don't know. All right, you listen to these romance novels or whatever it may be, but yeah, I don't watch Ocean's 11 and be like, yo, I think I'm gonna be able to rob a bank. Like, you don't think you actually get away with it? You know what I mean?
Go ahead, Shu. You look like you about to jump in.
Yeah, look how close he is to the screen. You know,
I know. He's like, I'm trying to get a word in edgewise.
No, it's just like, you know, I'm just, you know, going over a lot of things because, you know, lately, so the whole thing is this past week or so, I guess because this whole book has been making me sensitive, I realized how much just in our culture, like in our music, you'll hear so many songs where women are berating men for not being the man that they want them to be, a stranger in my house, on to the next man, this, that, and the other, and it's okay, you know? And then you got all these other songs about men, and you don't hear songs about men berating women like that. You hear them, you know, unless it's a rap song and stuff, and that gets dismissed. Other than that, you hear all these songs of, you know, like at least in the R&B area of, you know, begging for a woman's, you know, this, that, and the other. Oh, I'll do you better than your man will. I'll buy you flowers, buy you a house, yeah. And it just reminds you how much is being reinforced of that mentality. And the thing was, going back to the crimes, you reminded me of, like, when I was in college, I remember the whole Monica Lewinsky thing. Remember when she cut off her husband's, cut off his dick?
Nah, that's Lorena Bobby.
Lorena Bobby.
No,
sorry.
that's not
Lorena Bobby.
That's Lorena Bobby.
Twisted. I remember being in college, and I remember hearing this, and people were like, you know, thinking it's funny that, you know, she cut off this dude's dick. And I remember some girls in my class saying, well, what did he do? And it's just like, you know, thinking back on that, I'm like, what if it was the other way around? If you heard, you know, Kelvin cut off a titty, would they say, what did that woman do to deserve getting, you know what I mean?
Because a man's body is disposable, bro.
It's disposable. And you know what? I'm glad you mixed those two women up, because Monica Lewinsky, that just shows you the level of the premeditation that goes into these things that these women are doing. Because most times, remember, when a girl is sitting there crouched down in a military position with the 357 aimed at my man's chest while he's sleeping, where I have the choice to walk away at this point, I can leave and never be seen again. Gone, right? But I'm going to kill him, and in the court of law, I'm going to say that. But I'm saying the Monica Lewinsky thing is because she gave this man fellatio. All right. It was consensual. He came on her dress. The sperm was on her dress, and this hoe saved this dress with the sperm on it. Didn't take it to the cleaners or nothing. Put it in the closet and saved it so she could trap this man later on down the road. Yeah. That's some premeditated bullshit, bro. Your females be on some bullshit. Like, you saved how nasty are you, first of all? You saved the goddamn cum dress. You saved the cum dress. You saved a cum dress. You can entrap my man later, the president of the United States of America.
You got to dry clean. It was like, no, leave the stain. I'm gonna just need everything else cleaned up.
But it goes to like conversation.
That is so crazy.
It goes to the conversation from last week when we talking about how young of an age they start. Like, he shared a story where a 9-year-old accused her mother's boyfriend of raping her, and like,
him out the house.
Yeah, just because he wanted him out the house, and like then like 2 years later, she realized, oh, my bad. I feel guilty about it. My man then got raped, probably got raped in prison for the next 2 years until she finally confessed.
Oh,
and
no.
You know
Here's
what
another
about
case.
that?
Yeah.
They wait before you say that, Shoot. They
Go ahead.
say this is the man is still guilty even when he's innocent.
Exactly.
Because even when a woman comes forward and says, I lied, you're still like, no, she didn't lie. And she's like, yo, I lied. He didn't do this to me. And the belief of people in the other system say, no, he did do this to you. You're just trying to protect him. You're so abused. And it's like, no, I really lied. I didn't. Get him out of jail. He's in jail for, it's so, that is some bullshit, yo. Like, that is just so crazy. So, yeah,
Matter
women
of fact,
have to change. Women have to change.
You reminded me of a story, and I wish I could look it up right now. But there was a story where this girl had a beef with her neighbor, right? So I don't know if she had like a thing for him or something, and he like turned her away or something towards that effect. But long story short, she had a thing with this neighbor, and she was pissed off at him. So she goes back home and tells her dad that dude raped her, right? Dad goes over to dude's house, rings on the doorbell, and shoots him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
All right, kills dude, and then dad goes to prison over this little girl or over this girl who actually it never fucking happened. It was just she was mad. So now she's gonna use that female power to influence a male to take action on another male because they're both disposable. So now you've taken this man's life, an innocent man's life, and your dad is in prison. And guess what? There was no punishment for her whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the craziness for me, I'll say this in closing for my idea with this question. Yo, the whole idea, one man gets claimed or accused of rape. Now they going back to the other women that he slept with. And it's like, yo, did this dude ever rape you? You sure? Did he ever make you do something that you didn't want to do? Did you ever say yes when you really meant no? Like, y'all really going back to every chick trying to convince them.
And dude, and to be honest, man, look, I'm not trying to make this political, but this past week there was some, middle-aged former model who's come out and accused Trump of, sexually harassing or assaulting her. And I'm watching this segment with my wife, and even she had to say, yo, miss me with the bull. Like, you waited, mind you, the assault occurred back in the mid-90s. And it's just like, I'm not saying there should be a statute of limitation to these things, but at the same time, why now? Why all of a sudden? And I think, our society now has entered a space where we're just believing all women just for the sake that they're women. So the change must come from women, because this doesn't make any sense. We're just allowing things to happen. Like, they even Anita Hill, like the detailed information that he shared about Anita Hill, I had no clue.
Mm-hmm. But you got to remember this. Cash. There is the premeditation of this.
Yeah.
So why now? Because I thought about this 20 years ago, and now it's time for me to unravel this shit. I thought about this. Like, they be really thinking about this, and for years and years, I'm going to hold this.
No,
and when Ash gets married, I'm going to put this note in the mailbox to his wife. Like,
now, you know what else it is,
too? What are you trying to prove by that?
They also wait that long because it's like, yo, I never had this platform however many years ago, whether it's a lie or not. But now I have this platform. So whether it's a lie, I really did it, or whether I know now I can say it and get away with it, now's the time. It's like, I've been holding on to these stocks for however long. Now's the time to cash them in.
But there's a credibility that's well, unfortunately, I don't know, man, because I look at, and to tie this in with the whole Brett Kavanaugh, when he was going through his hearing to be one of the Supreme Justices, with that whole Christine Bafford, whatever her name was, and even I was just like, look, I'm not trying to say that a woman's cry should not be heard, but there's something malicious while reading through this book, and to what you were saying, Smith, like the devious plotting that goes through a woman's mind that makes me now skeptical of a lot of these like a lot of these allegations that are out there. And like when you get the quotes, and I actually was able to find the quote in question that I wanted to bring up. In chapter 14, he referenced 2 quotes. One quote was from a Vassar College assistant dean of students. Men who are unjustly accused of rape can sometimes gain from the experience. And another quote, yeah.
I was about to say, what?
And then the second quote was, all men are rapists, and that's all they are. And that's from Marilyn French. And it reminds me of another quote from a Teen Vogue columnist, and she's like a feminist. And she wrote, and she caught some heat from this, but she tweeted out something where she said she's not concerned about innocent men losing their jobs. She doesn't mind necessarily if innocent men get falsely accused of rape, because this was during the height of Me Too. And when I think about all of these events, I just think about the devious nature in regards to the plotting. And the change, back to Kevin's question, the change must come from women. You got to break this sort of, sadistic way of thinking that you're always a victim in every single situation.
Yeah, I got a question for
And
you.
to think that you're entitled to a man, giving up everything for you.
Correct.
But it ain't just when you start lying.
If you 3 are married, right? So if you're married and you've had other relationships, so let's say that you were going to run for high office, presidency or something, right? Do you think that there will be women that came forward with negativity regarding you and your past? Or do you think that you have chosen women that you thought would never do such a thing to you ever?
Oh,
or do you
definitely.
think that you would have that card played like, he was this and this is that and this and that? Even a baby coming out the woodwork from somehow.
Somehow, right?
The baby might not so, but definitely I will have some women who would say I manipulated though.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's 2 that comes to mind.
Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can think of 1 or 2, but like it'd be more of. I think it'd be more of like, well, for me in my specific case, I think it'd be more of like, some of these women they got this like, that victim mentality of like, oh, life isn't fair, this, that, and the other. And then secondly, I think it'd be adding salt to the wound, that because my wife is white, so I think that would really spark some chicks in my past like, well, I'm gonna stick it to them.
Yeah.
Because you notice that chicks never go after a dude when he's failing.
Oh no.
They never go after him when he's failing.
That's what makes
That's why I said you all are going for a high office. Yeah,
man, that's what. Look, man, I was listening to that hearing and like everyone coming at Brett Kavanaugh, and I was just like, look, man, I'm trying to put my political affiliation aside. I was trying to objectively listen to this the same way I objectively was following the Duke lacrosse situation, and even I was just saying, this doesn't make any sense, but yet the narrative of her being a victim was constantly being played, and I was just, and then it's one of the many defenses that women tend to get in regards of them. You got to respect what occurred to them and their body being respected. Whereas, whether or not there's any evidence to it, it's just like, well, it's her body, therefore something happened. That.
Okay, so she touches my ass in the school, and I tell Cash on the job. All right. Because I told you that she touched me, that is a sexual harassment charge later on. I never had to go to any of the bosses or anybody. I never had to go to the person. But because I gossiped it to you, as the book was saying, that is that's like I wrote it down. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And denoted the day. All that's some bullshit, bro. Like that's some if you didn't like how I approached you, you know what I mean? Then say something about that. But don't go and slander me and all that BS. Like that's just crazy. Women gotta change, man. Women gotta change.
That's exactly what he mentioned in the book. He said that a lot of when they polled the men, a lot of them said, like, yo, if the women had came to them and been like, yo, I didn't like X, Y, and Z, or I don't like when you do X, Y, and Z, as far as, the way that you approach me in the workplace or whatever, most of the men would stop. Like they said, like, yo, if I had known, I wouldn't have did it.
Yeah.
I'll give you
what's interesting,
I'll give you an exact example because I went through that with a female before, where it's like, there's female friends of mine that I might be playful with or flirtatious with, this, that, and the other. One of them, I'm just joking with her, this, that, and the other, nothing serious. And she took it to heart, but the following week, she didn't say anything about it. But the following week when she, saw me, she pulled me to the side. I was like, yo, I felt some sort of way about what you said and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, my bad. I was just joking. I was just kidding. It wasn't that serious, and we've had a cool rapport ever since. You know what I mean? And the whole thing is, it's like in this whole Me Too movement, any little thing you say, as if you're supposed to be psychic about who is going to take it personal versus who is going to take it as what it is, a joke or, harmless flirtation, X, Y, and Z, or simply say, I don't like it. Done.
I don't like it. Yeah. But it's like they still work in that favor of the female. Like the Department of Labor is going to give them the guide to the women's workplace, not the guide to the workplace. A man doesn't get the guide to the man's workplace. We just get it's your workplace. But they make an actual booklet for them and say, hey, if they do this, But meanwhile, Cosmopolitan is saying, brush up against him a little bit with your body. Drop the papers. When you get by his desk, drop the papers and bend over so your cleavage is in his face. And then he'll help you pick up the papers because he's looking at your breast. Like, really? What the fuck are y'all ladies doing? What are y'all doing?
I mean, that wasn't an early night.
And don't teach that shit to my daughter. That's some bullshit.
Yeah, and to your point, Smith, about the Department of Labor, like, look, we already got a federal law that talks about, the discrepancy in pay wage that address it. Like, it's illegal to practice discriminatory pay. New Jersey got like 2 years ago, New Jersey passed an additional law. I think New Jersey got at least 3 or 4 laws to talk about discriminatory pay. And I'm like, why the many laws? Like, we already got a federal law. Why the many laws to further try to paint this narrative as though women are just not being paid equally when, there's studies that show, there's reasons for that.
Yeah.
There's reasons for that.
It's because of dumb shit like, our deodorant costs 3 cents more than the men's. That's inequality.
Bro, if I read that freaking 16 list, you guys will throw up in your mouth.
Not for nothing. Nothing. That secret might cost a little bit more, but that shit works better because it's strong enough for a man, but made for a woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, when Clarence Thomas was on that EEOC, he had a chance to overturn it, and that shit bit him in the ass because he didn't overturn it. He gave women that power. See what you did, Clarence? Messing with me there.
I kind of want to hear that 16 list. I want to hear that 16 list.
I share,
or you can send me the link.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
I
sent it in the group text. So this one is really more so a conclusion, obviously like an overall thought, but Dr. Farrell spent the last chapter talking about a re-socialization to make things fair and equal. Just thoughts on that. Obviously he touched on having more male teachers. I agree. I think we talked about it with one of our previous books regarding having more male representative in the schools. He talked about the ELOC, the acronym slips on mine. But either way, what are your thoughts in regards to the overall book? What are your thoughts on Dr. Farrell's re-socialization, programs that he likes, that he threw out there?
I'll jump in. I think that as far as what needs to be done, it just sounds like suggestions.
Yeah.
Men need to be equal. Women need to do this. Women need to be that. It sounds good in theory, but I mean, what was this? 1993? How much has changed in 27 years? Overall thoughts on the book. I mean, it's just, it's eye opening. At first, I didn't know what to think of it as far as okay, is this just gonna be a woman bashing book? But when you substantiate it with the facts that he came up with, it's like, dang, a lot of this shit is eye opening, and it's not fair.
I knew you would enjoy it, Cal. I knew you.
Yeah.
I knew you.
I mean, like the only part, like going into it, where it was just like, you know, I kind of felt that way and kind of knew already, was just that whole woman and male equality. Like, I'm not with the whole, well, you say you want this, you say you want that. Like, nah, my shit is, this is how it's going to be. Our shit about to be equal. You gonna pay for some shit? I'm gonna pay for some shit. I can stay home just like you can stay home. Okay, cool. You want to stay home for the first 10 years of our kid's life? That's what's up. I get the 10 after.
Yeah.
So I give it 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the book. It was different. I hear where you was going with the male bashing initially. I mean the female bashing. But for him to have so many anecdotal notes and stories to go along with what he was trying to convey to us, I really appreciated that. I'm still thinking that we're still in that pursue and persist, and the women still attract and resist. I'm gonna hold on to that too. Pursue and persist. That's what the men do, and the women attract and resist.
So there's certain things that you think that men needs to just stick with regardless. Like, it's just who we are as men. That's our makeup genetic. Like, we shouldn't do away with it.
No, I don't think there's certain things that we should stick with, but I think short of you starting a whole nother community, like a whole nother
Stage 3,
but a whole nother, yes, you would have to start another community where they're taught that from the beginning. Mm-hmm. We are way too many years in. The women keeps getting way too many rules. All they do is just keep adding on to the women. She gets a plight, they're going to add on. Something happens, they're going to add another rule. A woman cries out, they're going to come to her rescue. A woman cries, they're going to come to her rescue. A man cries, they're going to look at him and say, "What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Aren't you a man? Man up, man." So is that you're still going to have that, and until we are able to teach our boys that it is okay to feel, it is okay to cry, it is okay to be in love, it is okay to be emotional, it is okay to express your feelings at that moment in time, we're going to be in a fucked up place forever and ever.
Forever's a long time.
I know. We've already been in it forever. Ever never ends. You know that, right? It just keeps going. So all I can do is try to teach the males that I come in contact with, especially my son, and not that, that whole thing of don't hit girls is another part. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The doc was talking about, and I talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago, when I see this, the school age children, girls, hit boys 20 to 1%. All right, it's a 20 to 1 ratio that a girl is going to hit a boy in school. Boys, it's 1 to 20. I've seen so many females, and I'm in high school. I've seen so many females at this point, and I saw this in elementary as well, go and attack and punch males, and the male is supposed to be, and they're not punching with, they're
like a light fist. Yeah,
they're not punching with a light fist. They're trying to hurt you because when they think you're a boy, you can take it. You know what I mean? So they're coming in there, they're doing that, or they're throwing the phone at your head and thinking that you can take it even when the blood is gushing down the front of your fucking face. They're phone like, check. Take it. You know what I mean? Phone check, fool. Yeah, for real. So it's the whole thing of, I can't tell my son not to hit a woman. I tell him, listen, you always defend yourself. If somebody put their fucking hands on you, bro, you defend yourself. Now, is that wrong? Or is he supposed to come to the heroines? Is he supposed to be the hero for the heroine? What the hell is that supposed to be? Like, is it wrong for me to tell him if somebody puts their hands on you, you defend yourself? I don't give a fuck if it's a cop. I don't care who it is. You defend yourself. Is that wrong? Am I setting myself up for failure? You understand? What do I teach him? Or do I teach him if a girl swats you across your face, where one of my, prior to me getting shot, one of my best friends was stabbed by his cousin, who she stabbed him one time in his stomach. He was like, "Oh shit, you stabbed me." "No, I didn't." And she stabbed him again, thinking, he could take it. And he was in the hospital prior to me getting shot. My mother's like, "What the fuck are y'all doing? Y'all all trying to kill yourselves?" But anyway, That's neither here nor there. The girl was never taken into effect. It was just like, get your staples. You are right. You're a man. You're going to heal. You didn't die. It's only going to make you stronger. So what do I tell my son? How do I really raise my son? Do I raise him to be one that of great morals and values, of right and wrong, regardless of race, sex, creed, color? You know what I mean? Because that's the level that I want to go. Or do I raise him to be fearful of a woman and not to put himself in certain positions, knowing that a woman can basically take his life away? Not just like him being off the face of the earth, but incarcerating him and taking his life away that way as well.
Man, that's deep, bro. Like, I feel for you and Shu in regards to you both guys have sons. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, go ahead, Shu.
Honestly, I'm on the exact same page as Smith. Like, I've been teaching my son how to box since he's 2, and he's going on 10 now. And I tell him all the time, somebody put their hands on you, you're not going to be a victim. You know what I mean? I don't care what nobody say, how they feel about it. You're not going to sit there and be nobody's victim, And that includes females. Like, yo, you put your hands on me. There's no bound saying that. I don't care what society says. I'm not going to sit there and be a victim. I'm not going to allow my son to be a victim, Like, the whole thing is like, if she knows the fact of you stronger than her and she still feels like she wants to come take you on, well, she got to eat that. Sorry, that's just, that's the way that's got to be until it stops. Until females say, you know what? I'm not strong enough to take him. I'm not going to try to take him. That's just got to stop. That little invisible rule, of protection needs to go. You'll eliminate a lot of that if women know that there is no rule there to protect them. Then they'll stand down. But as far as the book is concerned, the book basically says things that I've been, I guess, preaching for years. Because I've always seen these inequalities. I've always seen these injustices and this, that, and I've voiced it and this, that, and the other. And I've, kind of become the outsider, the person that people kind of like, oh, that's you, he's crazy, he don't know what he's talking about, this, that, and the other. But, these are uncomfortable truths that got to come out of the dark into the light, Honestly, I enjoyed the book. I really did. And I think it's very informative. I think it's very well written. I think it's very unbiased, and it's something that I think that if you want to make a change, you're going to have to start giving this book, men are going to have to start giving this book to their daughters. I think that's where the change is going to happen. It's not going to happen with these women that are already feeling entitled and feeling that, the world belongs to them because they have a vagina. Like, it's that those women are already stuck in their Beyonce, state of mind. So the whole thing is, I think men, if you have daughters, that you're going to have to, enlighten your daughters on these things so that when they go in the world, they understand like the struggles and plight of a man, not just the struggles and plight of a woman of having to pay 3 cents more for their deodorant, So my overall about the book is I give it 4 out of 5 bookmarks.
Oh, I like the 4 out of 5 bookmarks. That's what we should start doing, the 4 out of 5 bookmarks. But hey, isn't Secret strong enough for a man but made for a woman? So isn't it the same price, or do I pay less when I buy the Secret?
Man,
no, I've used the Secret. That stuff is good, saying, man.
Does it cost less when you buy it though, as opposed to when your wife buys it?
I don't know. I didn't know there was
never had them
deodorant, so to even track that was it's a stretch, as Kelvin was saying earlier. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like what the.
Real quick before I go into my summary, like for you, this is for Smith and Kel, you guys went into this book thinking that it was going to be a woman bashing book. Like, what led you guys to think that way prior to reading the book?
Just the way it started.
Programming, social programming.
Just the way that it started. I think because I read through like the first. As I was reading through the first 10 pages, I was laying in bed next to my wife, and I was like, "Yo, did you know that it says this with this, and that? Did you know that women couldn't do so and so?" I think he started off with like the war, and it was, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. It's a woman's body, her choice. So I didn't know what how this dude was gonna fill 400 pages worth of women bashes. But
yeah, I thought yeah. Because the title says one thing, and then once you get into it, because it was the myth of male power, and he was talking about the females, but he was basically saying, the myth is that the females actually have the power. The myth is that the males actually have power, and that's a myth.
Yeah,
we actually don't have any power.
But did he really female bash, or did he state facts?
Well, I was just curious as to like how, Kelvin said the first 10 pages. Smith, obviously just probably thought overall that, this was going to be a women's bashing thing.
Well, yeah. Shoot,
I'd say
no, but that's what I'm saying. As it went on, it was like, dang, okay, he does present some valid arguments as opposed to just, but my initial thought was, okay, this is what it was going to be. I thought it was going to be kind of satirical, like the first book that we read, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, where you're stating things that make sense, but they might not necessarily be substantiated.
Yeah, no, he had all the evidence for it. He had all the evidence for everything, like those, like I said, all them anecdotes that just helped. And I would pass this book along. I would give this to my daughter until I have to read,
Well, my final thoughts. This was on my wish list for a very long time. Actually, this has been on my wish list for the past 3 years. So I'm glad to have this book club to really share this with you guys and actually get to it. There's been plenty of books. There's a lot of other books that, hopefully we can get to. That's on my wish list that I could share with you guys. For me, I've listened to Dr. Farrell's for a middle-aged white guy, who started off being on the feminist side to then make this sort of full circle and understand just being a human being. Just listen to his talks. He's a very humbling, he has a very soft voice. He's a very humbling dude. I love the book. I thought that his resocialization strategy makes sense. I don't know if it's ever going to be applied in society. I think we're just too ingrained in our culture to make the necessary changes to make men equal. I appreciate that. Even what threw me for surprise, though, even the race element, he even for this guy to grow up middle class white, he even acknowledged that black men, got it the worst. The rape accusal rate. I didn't even know that black men get accused of rape more time than white men. On some
new story.
Yeah, did not know that.
I'm surprised that surprised you because black men get accused not only by black women but also by white women.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just never really thought about it that way.
We get everything more than everybody except for money.
But not
for money.
Because the gay man, when he called the cops, they take the gay man. They take both of the gay men.
Yeah.
But if the woman even if the man was to call the cops, they would still take the man and the woman would stay. But when it's the gay man, they still let them get those perks that the women get either.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't know. When I think about the ELC, and once again, I'll probably have to spell this out in the description. The acronym eludes me.
EEOC, the EEOC.
Yeah, that. Thank you.
Yeah, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Well, my man Smith got that ingrained. I'm about to start teaching this in school.
That's because Smith is part of the NAACP, so he know all about the acronyms and the letters.
I think that it's unfortunate because when I think about my work environment and the constant conduct policy that I have to acknowledge and taking and stuff, I just see the work environment. It's sad because I don't see romance is going to happen the way that women likely to see. Most women, most people partner up with their partners through workplaces. I think the workplace is going to drastically change where, people are going to be, monks and I don't know. I understand his resocializations, but at the same time, I see ramifications with them. But you need to bring these sort of equalities out and, it is what it is. But overall, I appreciate the book. I'm glad to share. Like I said, I'm glad to share it with you guys, and hopefully, he's written other books that we could possibly get to down in the future. They're not on my wish list, but he referenced his other books in this throughout this, like I think the Myth of the Pay Wage or something like that. So hopefully we get to read those books. The one takeaway I say with this is we gotta. For me, I will have to reread this again because if I find myself in a conversation with a woman, I need to make sure I have these talking points on lock and key because he didn't provide so much ammunition. I'm like, yo, dude, this is just gold information that I don't think the public just knows. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you want to know why? You want to know why she's putting that lipstick on? You want to know why she's wearing that mini skirt? Because the mini skirt is not for her. That all of that. But you know something about the myth of this male power? The one time where I really felt that the women really had a lot of power was going through my divorce and going into the court and all of that. And seeing how, you know, somebody told me that, yo, she's gonna be different when she go in court. And I'm like, nah, why would she be different? What are you talking about? Like, nah, it's my wife, we breaking up and shit, but why would she be different? And bruh, that shit was so different. Damn, they are different. Somehow it changes. And I was like, yo, my man said this. And I could just never believe that this would happen. But it changed. And the rage and everything. And it was like, yo, who the fuck are you? Like, who is this person? You know what I mean? And all of the support was still going her way where I don't want to hear what you have to say. I'm not interested in what you have to say. And I'm like, wait a minute. But you all were asking me questions, even to the point where, you know, they were asking me to bring my documents, and I brought my documents and it wasn't good enough. Those documents are good enough. He works more than that. He does more than that. He makes more than that. And it's like, this is exactly what the court told me to bring. Now, was there something else I was supposed to bring to you all? And now the court, even though they're trying to take her side, it's like, well, yeah, we did tell them to just bring this. Yeah, but why are you trying to take her side? Y'all told me to bring this paperwork. I bought this paperwork. Well, he makes more than that. Yeah, I could make more money if I tend to work 2 months in the summer. I'm an educator. I only work 10 months a year. I can choose to work 2 more months. But as Kel just showed you all, we don't always have to do that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. But she just changed so much. And I was like, damn, this is what they talking about. And that's when I really realized in the court system, when you're dealing with children and divorces, that the male's power is really, really a myth. You have no power in that system.
Relegated
to zero. Realize the fact of, you know, here's the thing. Here's the double standard. Women know. I don't give a fuck who it is. I don't care if it's your mama, your sister, your next door neighbor. They know the power that they hold within their sexuality. They know the power that they hold within being the timid or the victim in the court system. They know the shit. They only want to claim that they are the ones that's in the struggle and when it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
When it's convenient for them. They use their power when it's convenient for them. They use their vulnerability when it's convenient for them. For a man, there is no option. You cannot be vulnerable. And if you use your power, it will be used against you. Yeah. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
You're not walking down the street looking sexy, unfortunately.
Like a woman can go into her boss's office. All right. A woman could go into her boss's office in a thong and topless, seduce the dude, get her to sleep with him, and then play the victim and say, I thought that was the only way I was going to get the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What situation can a man ever do that?
Yeah. Basically, what you're describing is a Harvey Weinstein case. The multiple cases.
Like, I'm just giving you an example. You know, I'm just giving you an example. You know, if I walk through the streets, if I walk through Central Park at 2 a.m, wearing gold chains and diamonds and this, that, and the other, and Rolexes, and I get robbed, everybody's gonna look at me like, well, you stupid. What are you doing at 2 o'clock in the morning in Central Park, rocking jewelry like that?
Mm-hmm.
But if a woman wants to run through Central Park at 2 a.m, go for a jog in booty shorts, and she gets raped, that shouldn't have happened to her. Whoa. How is it when I do something stupid, I throw myself in danger? She does something stupid. She should be protected.
She should be protected.
Yeah, I remember. What was it? The Puerto Rican.
That's what the book was basically talking about.
Yeah.
The whole book was talking about that.
Yeah, wasn't the Puerto Rican Day Parade like a decade ago where it went left? A bunch of women got assaulted, and like one of the conversation piece was just like, should women not dress provocatively at these parades? And obviously, a lot of women called in and said, no, a woman shouldn't be regulated in regards of how she should, wear a tie and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like that double standard where like, you could be minding your business, rocking a 10K, carat, piece of necklace, and they're gonna say you're stupid for rocking it, but yeah, you could come outside with your cleavage all hanging out, and yeah, you can get your titty touch.
Well,
I'm gonna tell you this. This is how I want to end. This is how I want to end this last one. All right. In the words of Belle Biz DeVoe, never trust a big booty and a smile.
Yeah, that girl is poison.
Or a small butt and no smile. And or big titties and a smile, or no titties and a smile. Just don't trust any combinations of any of it.
Yeah, you hit Smith up with a book reference.
You later.
That's it.
What was the book? What's the book?
Smith, you know what book you remember the name of the book, Smith?
No, I gotta look at it.
All right. Well, y'all let me know because I want to start reading it today. Whatever it is, Ashu, if you come on,
I'm selecting the book.
Yeah, it's your turn.
No,
okay, I'll put it to Kelvin.
You should have it in the chat, but I'll send it back to you.
Hold on, it's supposed to be Shu's turn, but he said he couldn't think of one. But Shu, if you think
I might have one. I'll put it in the group.
Right.
I'll put it in the group text. Y'all tell me what y'all think.
Your books ain't bad. They ain't about little Asian women. I'm sure the next book here he has going to have American in it somewhere.
Oh, it definitely is. I already been looking. I found one called American Porn. See if y'all can think about that one.
Oh, fellas, we got to do like a year end. This is probably towards the end of the year, like a year end recap of the books we read and probably rank them in regards of likability and stuff like that.
I could do
I would like that.
I'm down for that.
Yeah,
do a little ranking of them.